Coming up on this episode of Bro Do You Even Talk Pinball, Stern has announced Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is their next game. Games are coming back into production. We've got Multimorphic going online. Jersey Jack's got updates. We got shows canceling and rescheduling because of COVID-19. And we got a review of Mustang coming right at you next.
Double super jackpot!
And now, the Hall & Oates of pinball podcasting, Nick Lane and Kevin Manny of Buffalo Pinball. Whoa, boom shakalaka.
Well, it's me, but where's Nick? There
I'm
he
here.
is.
I'm here.
Sliding right
go.
in. What's
That's
going
right.
on?
It's called an entrance.
That was smooth. Almost like
You see how fucking I just watched myself on the time delay. I was like, that's pretty good. That was unintentional.
Sorry. I had
good.
you on the other monitor. I was like, let's see if he gets back here before this starts. I was like, well, we just gotta go with it. What's going on, everybody? Nick Lane, how was your month? How you been amid all of this insanity that's going on out there? It's a crazy time.
I don't even know what to say.
I know. In the grand scheme of things,
let's talk about pinball from the comfort of our home while the world's burning.
Yeah, there's pinball in the grand scheme of things is at the bottom of the priority list for people right now. But hopefully, you can get a little bit of an escape listening to the show and talking about a hobby for a while.
That's right. There's only so much bad news you can take, right? So I think everybody needs an escape. I think that's a healthy thing to do. So let us be your escape for at least an hour or so.
Yep, and there's actually some new stuff to talk about, which is a nice change of pace here for a podcast. So
that's right.
Why don't we kick it off talking about some partners? Nick?
I'm waiting for it to pop up on the screen. There we go. Not that I don't know what they are, okay. But I'm on a little delay. All right, here we go. Pin Stadium, our premier partner for 2020. Want to thank Pin Stadium for just being a great supporter of us. They have won Mod of the Year back-to-back years. Their stadium lighting kits to illuminate your pinball playfield are the best on the market. It's controlled by iOS, Android. You use the app to change whatever color, your intensity you like. There's so many games that come out these days, and they're just not well illuminated. And once you get here's a warning: once you get one on your games, that's it. You're gonna need them all. So Pin Stadium, use coupon code Buffalo to take 10% off. I'm not gonna let everybody know what all the ones are that have coupon codes, but just throw Buffalo into an order when you go to one of our partners and be surprised at what you're gonna get. All right, going down the list: Double Danger, pinball shirts, swag, including our official merchandise. TheModCouplePinball.com. We're not going to a lot of shows, right? Shows are canceled, so things are good in your life right now. This is a nice time to be upgrading your pinball machines. You got nothing but time. Buy some of these mods. Check out Mod Couple Pinball. Flipping Out is your place to buy your new pinball machine. They've got all the major pinball manufacturers except for Punny Factory. Going to bring this up every goddamn time. Hopefully he carries them.
Come on,
but that's Zach Manny. He'll take care of you. Flipping Out Pinball. Pinside.com. That's the official place to go for pinball news. You want to figure out what's going on. You want to chat about it with other angry, entitled people. Pinside.com. You can review. You can rank pinball machines. But it is a great place to go to when you want to find out what's new, especially when they launch a new game like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. If people love or hate it, there's nothing in the middle. There's no nuance.
No.
Go find out. Jersey Jack Pinball. Jersey Jack Pinball makes the most beautiful pinball machines on the planet. I own one. Our guest own one. Kevin owns. I own two. Kevin owns like 5 now. I don't know. All of them.
Only 3.
Almost. Only 3.
Skip Natty's got
flexing.
4.
Kevin's flexing. All right. Pinball.edu, pinballraffle.org. Head over there. You buy a raffle ticket that goes to charity. Read up more at pinballraffle.org. 1 in a 250 chance of winning. Community Beer Works. We got a beer delivery a couple weeks ago from Community Beer Works. Amidst all the bad stuff going on, I hit a couple buttons on a phone and beer showed up at my house. So that put a smile on my face, at least a couple times. All right, Comet Pinball LEDs and their awesome new shirt. get lit. Check that out. Pinballmix.com. Pinball Mix will make a customize replacing your pinball music in your pinball machine. Kevin was demonstrating Mustang a couple months ago, which we're going to review later today, the Mustang pinball machine. But pinballmix.com. And then last but not least, Titan Pinball. I'm enjoying Titan Pinball right now as I'm standing on their wonderful, comfortable mat, and I'm in my basement. Titan Pinball, silicone rings for your pinball machine, tools. I've heard that their pinballs are really good too. So if you need more pinballs for your pinball machines, you see how I did that? That's the correct way. Go to Titan Pinball, and you should be changing your pinballs every, 100, 200 games, depending on if it's a short or long playing game. Check them all the time that you're cleaning them. If there's little dings in them, they're starting to rust, get rid of them, and go to Titan Pinball and order some more. All right, how'd I do, Kevin?
You did good.
All right.
Well, don't forget to go to Ohio Pin Brew Fest. I don't know why their logo is not loading here, but go to pinbrewfest.com for the Ohio Pin Brew Show. It's rescheduled to August. If you want to learn more about it, visit pinbrewfest.com. And that's it. Not too far from us in upper northeastern Ohio area. But there you go. You can check them out at pinbrewfest.com. All right. So we got some news. Let's let our boy give us some intro to the news.
Here's the tip. It's the latest pinball news. So hot, it's on fire.
Pinball news time, and our special guest, Stephen Haberman, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles superfan, is here to talk to us about the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles by Stern Pinball. Before we get into it, Stephen, why don't you introduce yourself and let us know why you're the go-to guy for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Sure, love to. Thanks for having me on. Sure. I volunteer my time to Buffalo Pinball long enough. I get to be, on a show every once in a while. That's pretty nice.
That's right. You hear that? You hear that, people?
Yeah.
Make your dreams come true.
So I'm just another pinball guy. Pinball has been in my life 4 or 5 years, and but for all of my life, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles have been a part of my life. Back when I only just learned that I used my left hand, I was starting to watch Ninja Turtles, and I was learning how to draw circles and put them together to make Leonardo and Michelangelo and Raphael and Donatello. I watched the animated series. I've watched most of all of the different iterations of animated series. I've enjoyed the story and those characters for a very long time. And when it came to that dream theme, and we talked about something that meant so much to you, you just couldn't pass up the opportunity to be in that world. When they said, hey, Ninja Turtles, I started selling games. I started moving stuff around my house to make sure I had space for it. So when they announced that Ninja Turtles game, I was pumped. I've also had some experience in the comic book industry as a marketing manager for a not the Ninja Turtles company, but someone else. And I got to experience their re-release in that 2011-2012 Nickelodeon rebranded animated series. I was able to be a part of the industry while that happened, and while IDW relaunched the comics. So it's just always been a part of my life in a unique and special way. And now my 5-year-old girl likes watching them. My wife enjoys it enough to let me put stuff up around the house. And so, yeah, it's time. It's time for the Ninja Turtles pinball machine.
That's great. So it's the go-to game for you. Obviously, this was like the dream theme for you, right?
Yeah, and obviously there's people who know this game exists. If you followed my Pinside or followed me streaming, I owned the 90s Data East Ninja Turtles machine for about 45 days.
It was not even good enough for you to keep.
Well, it's one of those things. I'm all about value. When you have a lot of hobbies, when you're gaming and comics and artwork and pinball, it's all about Ninja in the chat. Good job. It's all about value. So I bought that thing broken. I fixed it, and then someone offered me like $1,000 more than I paid. So I was like, yes, absolutely, because this value will not hold, and I'm going to be able to go upgrade to something else. And when you're really into video games and stuff like that, like for me, those screens, like the JJP stuff, the Willy Wonka, that screen is more important than people realize. Deadpool was one of my favorite games that I brought into the house because of what was appearing on that LCD screen. Yep. And so now to be able to get Ninja Turtles, to be able to have that screen of the Turtles, have the reimaginings appearing there, it's going to be awesome.
Excellent. So you also appeared on an episode of The Comic Book Men, right? It's an AMC show about Kevin Smith, his comic book store, and the crew that runs it there. I actually went and I rewatched the episode. It was season 2, episode 5, I believe. If you got Amazon Prime, you can check it out, and you'll see Steven on there. But tell us a little bit about that experience.
Sure. That was right in the mix of when I was the marketing manager for a comic book company. And I would be seeing the guys from the Secret Stash out of New Jersey all the time because I'm based out of Philly area. So every Comic-Con I would go to, they were there selling their merch, selling their comics from their store. And it came out that Kevin Smith was doing some sort of comic book show. And so I kind of went over them and started talking to them about what were they doing, how was it going to appear and work out. And I'm just seeing that there's some echo that I'm trying to identify.
Yeah, Skype magically appeared in my audio sources for some reason. I just muted it, so you should be good.
Fun. So anyway, so I talked to the guys from the Secret Stash out in New Jersey. They told me about the show. I see them at shows all the time, so we just started just chatting. And I think I just happened to say, coming back from the Comic-Con where Ninja Turtles was unveiled by Nickelodeon, and IDW was going to be relaunching this comic that they were looking for Ninja Turtle stuff, and I was talking about how much I loved seeing all that stuff out there. So they're like, "Hey, could we get you in contact with the producer, and you could just come on?" And I was like, "Yep, that would be awesome." So they gave me a person to email. I emailed them the story of hey, I watched Ninja Turtles all my life. I was new to the comic book industry as a professional, and I wanted to kind of start building a comic collection. Now, little did they know, I already had, the vast majority of the Ninja Turtles comics, but I was missing from the original releases. They had multiple different printings. I was missing an issue 3, and so I knew that no matter what was going to happen, I was going to try to get something in issue 2 or in issue 3. Now I'm trying to remember, was it 2 or 3? One of those 2 issues. But anyways, I said, I'd love to be on. This is why. This is what would appeal to me. And they really liked the idea of not only bringing me in as a Ninja Turtles fan that is, 20 plus years old. I'm an adult. I'm working in the industry. I'm trying to reconnect to that history of the series. So they brought me on, and everything you see in the episode's real. All they basically said is you're gonna go in, you're gonna tell them what you want. They're going to make an offer of what they have, and you can haggle on price a little bit if you want to, and then you decide to buy, you decide not to, no big deal, doesn't matter. And so I think in the episode I ended up getting a couple issues rather than specifically the 4th printing of issue 1, because they had the 2nd printing of issue 2, 3, and 4, if I think I remember that correctly. So it was a great experience. I was able to go in there. I was able to hang out with the guys from the Secret Stash. I was able to really connect with that fan base in a way. And then from then on, everybody was, looking out for it. The guys that I worked with were excited to see it. And, family and friends will just be about every 6 months, someone will come across that episode from as you said, just live streaming, and they'd be like, is this you? I didn't know you were you here.
Yeah. Cause I watched the show back in the day, and I was like, you told me you were on one of the episodes. I was like, well, I got to go back and watch it now and see if I recognize it. I was like, yep, I've totally seen this episode. I remember watching this. That was you. That was way before I knew you, though. So it was kind of funny to go back and reconnect the dots there.
Mm-hmm. All right. Yeah, it was a fun little issue, an experience that we had having that happen, and in the same sense, as you saw, that basically for a week they're doing nothing but shooting guys walking into the store to buy something. And so there were a couple of the people that I think were asked to come in for Ninja Turtle related stuff, and it was do you have this toy? Do you have this the new comics coming out, or is there anything new that came out about them? So it was interesting to see the various kind of like storylines they wanted to look at before they decided what to put on air.
Interesting. Cool. So with that, now that we know the background, we know Stephen Haberman. Check him out on Twitch too, twitch.tv/Habermania. He streams on there. You can watch some pinball and video game related stuff. So definitely check him out. He does a great job helping us out with, if you've ever gone to our YouTube channel and seen the chopped out reviews that we do here on this very show. Steven's the man behind the scenes that's been doing that for us for years. So we appreciate everything you do. And you also came to the Summer Open and helped us broadcast there. So really appreciate everything you've done for the channel and sharing your expertise with us tonight, which is on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles pinball machine from Stern, just announced. It's a design by John Borg with art by Zombie Yeti and code by Dwight Sullivan, sound by Jerry Thompson. The MSRP is $6,099 for the Pro, $7,699 for the Premium, and $9,099 for the LE. Those are the same prices as their last game, Stranger Things. So, Nick, what's your initial take on Ninja Turtles? How much of it have you seen? What do you think? Are you running out and buying one?
There's a lot of questions there, Kevin. Let's take this, slow down a little bit, all right?
All right.
All right. Well, we knew this was coming down the pipeline, right? So this is not a surprise. I think it's a good theme, right? It's a well-known theme, and Stern's been banking on nostalgia, but it's also relevant today. So that's a really good theme to run with, right? We got people like Steven who are super fans. He's going to buy sight unseen. I think a lot of people are going to do that. The art is top notch, looks really good. Any of those models I think would look good in your game room. It's got a lot of visual appeal to it. It's hard for me to knock any aspect of it by just looking at it. I watched a gameplay video, a little bit of it, and the animations on the LCD again look top notch in terms of what I've seen. I haven't seen a lot, but it's been all good. I haven't, nothing kind of worried me at all. The sound, the iconic music, and kind of some of the music of the era of when the show was on TV in the 80s is reflected in there. So that was cool. And then to me, I didn't get the magnifying glass out and study the playfield, but this kind of looks Tron-esque. You see a lot of Tron-esque shots in there with the left ramp. You've got, looks like the Quora shot. Then you've got the flipper that goes to the right ramp that comes around. And you also have the gem shot there. So you've got a lot of that. And then the far right ramp on it is, I guess that's where the scoop would be on Tron, sort of. But it's also, it's a little further over than.
My internet just died.
That. So I mean, John Borg tends to kind of reuse some of his stuff, and to me, it's got elements I think of Tron more than any of these other games, but still looks unique enough and interesting.
Yeah,
Did I
agree.
answer everything?
Yeah, I mean, I think you definitely see some of the John Borg, like, I like this part of my layout, I like that part of my layout. We're gonna kind of pick some of the favorite things, especially like the spinning pizza disc with the magnets on it. Like, you saw that in Twister and X-Men. So he tends to like have this arsenal of things that he likes to go back to and pull pieces out of and rearrange and make a new machine. But everything I've seen, it looks like a good shooting game. To me, like the visuals are amazing. It's got Zombie Yeti art, right? It's got a fun flowy layout. I like the shot that goes behind the upper flipper there. It's pretty neat. The pizza toy is cool. Like, that's one of those tricks when you see it happen on X-Men or on Twister. Like, that's really awesome. And the balls go on there and they fly off. That's pretty cool. It's good to me. It's going to come down to the rules, right? And it's a Dwight game. I haven't been a huge fan of Dwight's games in the past, so that's the one thing that I'm like, I got to play this game before I throw my money at it.
Yeah, fair enough. If you told me that John Borg was doing it and the art looks great and the theme's good, and then Lyman was on the rules, I'd be like, okay, I better start saving up. That's not so much a knock toward Dwight, but I'm with you, Kev. I mean, I'm not a big fan of Dwight's rules. I think it's sometimes they're feast or famine, and he kind of goes crazy with multipliers. So I would be hesitant, right? Because at the end of the day, when you buy a game for your house, you can love the theme, it can look good, it can shoot great, but you can end up hating it in a month if the rules are just if they're trash.
Right. So,
and that's not to say Dwight's going to put trash out there with rules. I think he did a lot of good work going back and revisiting Game of Thrones, which was awesome, and I give him a lot of credit for doing that. Ghostbusters to me is still kind of a mess. Maybe there's no fixing that, because I think he's maybe trying to fix some things in the playfield design, right? And that's a really hard thing to do, as we've talked about. Keith mentioned that, and we've talked about that in the past. So I'll give him a pass on Ghostbusters. But again, it's definitely a wait and see on that.
So, Steven, what's your initial impression of the game? What do you think? What's got you excited about this game? So much that you're like, I must come on the show tonight and talk about it.
Yes. and thank you for, hearing me out.
Yeah.
And I want to actually come out and talk on 2 points that Nick brought up. First off, bringing up he hasn't seen all of the artwork that appears on the LCD screen. I will say that I've watched both streams, so 2+ hours of watching that, and it's a 3D artist trying to replicate something that they had before, and I think they do a pretty good job, but they still struggle with making it exactly. They're trying to redo an 80s cartoon, and they're not doing 2D animation, so they can't get it exact. And it's someone who, has to try to make it quickly under budget for a pinball machine. So they're going to take a couple stabs at things that might not look perfect, but I think they caught everything really well. They talked about going back to the first 3 seasons of the animated series, and when they did that, they started saying, these episodes in the game, these episodes are actually episodes from those 3 seasons, and if they're not, they literally, they would talk about, I think it's Find the Body. Is one of the episodes, and it's about Krang getting the body for his little brain to go inside the big machine, and Shredder's helping him get that. I remember that storyline in my head, not exactly the way that they presented in the game, but because I watched that episode 30 times, and the call-outs for Krang, though not exactly the same, is that character. He sounds awesome. Shredder, it can't be James Avery. Uncle Phil has passed, rest in peace. But the guy who's voicing Shredder gets it. He figured out a way to make the sound that doesn't sound like a knockoff Drax in Guardians that makes you want to throw up. They found ways to really catch the behavior and the feeling of that series. And then when it comes to the shots and the rules, I was worried about a bash toy. I basically felt like if this is Krang in the brain as a bash toy in the middle of the playfield, I was going to be afraid that they didn't really think about something when they did it. They just kind of said, "Oh, this is what we do, so this is what we're going to do, and it's going to work." And I still would have bought it, and I would have been fine with it. But seeing what they put together here, though it might have, Borg specifically mentions when thinking about how to make this game, he was gonna make the underground service of a multi-ball like Twister, having it come out from below the playfield. He's got the spinner that's very similar to the one that's from Twister, I guess. So he reuses things. But I feel like for this one, Dwight had something to prove. And so he took everything about the show and said, okay, episodes are in. You got your episodes. You're going to remember those. You're going to love them. You're going to see all the characters that you love. Do you like Deadpool? Do you like leveling up a character and feeling like you're going to battle against these villains? Okay, then you're going to get to level up your turtle. And each time you level up, you get a little extra perk. It's not a multiplier. There's one shot on the playfield that adds a multiplier. I don't know why I can't say that word all of a sudden, but it's a 2 times multiplier for the playfield. There might be other multipliers somewhere that go nuts and people figure that out. But these perks that you get added for leveling up through the layer, through that shot you were talking about, Kev, behind the upper left flipper. That's awesome. Being able to feel like I can pick my turtle, I can level him up as strong as I possibly can to get all the perks possible, and then I'm going to unload, and now I get to have a GC, a Grand Champion score for each one of the turtles. That's what I love about Dwight. Dwight Sullivan's code in regards to what he did with Game of Thrones. you were able to just say, like, I'm going to play just this house and be the best human being on this house forever. And now you can do that again with the turtles. And if you can't get deep in the game, like I'm not as good as a Nick and a Kevin, you can play cooperatively. And you can play 4 people in the house, all play together to try to beat up these villains, to progress through the game, and to see, the finale, the big scores. And you can all have GCs because you all work together to get that cooperative high score. So those are the reasons why, like, as soon as I started seeing what they did with this, I was like, I'm all in, absolutely. And by all in, that is a pro for me because I'm not made of money. I'm not Kevin Manny. Also, my wife.
For the record, also not made out of money, but yes, go on.
Kevin Manny works for a nonprofit.
Yeah,
exactly. Just point that out.
I've just had a few more years. I'm a few years ahead of you.
You're a little bit older. You've been working a little bit longer.
That's right.
My wife, every time I say Kevin Manny, she goes, "Where's Manny?" Because she hears Kev and Manny,
okay.
And so, like, every time I was like, "Yeah, Kevin Manny," and she's like, "Oh, okay, cool. I only see one guy."
Oh, that's funny.
Can I ask a question, Steven? Because obviously you know a little bit about this game. Is it a mode-based game?
Yes, and would be my answer to that question. There are episodes to the game, so you're playing through those episodes. There's 6 episodes that are assigned or started randomly. So you don't have to play like Ghostbusters and play linearly through the episodes. So you don't get tired of the episodes that you're playing. After you do certain episodes, you'll unlock secret, like locked episodes that move forward. And then there are certain shots on the playfield that are specific for combos or hurry-ups or like a unique kind of build-up that is unrelated to the mode. So like the layer shots, you go into training, and you have to hit certain shots to improve your weapons skill and then get that perk. But that's a totally separate thing from the episodes in the mode-based play. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. I don't know if that changes things for me that much. My feelings on it. I get a little leery of mode-based games. I'm not a huge fan because they seem to get a little stale. But we'll see.
Yeah, and I agree that it's doing a lot of cool things. Like, I like the co-op. I like the pick your character at the beginning and nobody else can pick that character. But they're like iterating on things that already exist. I know some folks are seeing like a co-op gameplay for the first time, and it's like, well, this actually goes all the way back to Multimorphic was doing it on Lexi Lightspeed, and I think they have it in all their games now. And also Spooky's got it in TNT. Excuse me, TNA. I got TMNT on the brain. TNA and Alice Cooper. So they're just kind of like bringing it out to their mass audience now, right? Because Stern has the widest reach of all their games, and the character thing we saw on Pirates, but just that that was a much larger scale. Now you're seeing it scaled down to just the 4 characters, and I think it really makes sense for a Ninja Turtles game too, because people remember that Konami game, that arcade game where everybody picked the turtle and y'all went to battle. So it's kind of like, I like that they're bringing that into pinball, that nostalgia, that experience of going to the arcade, playing that beat 'em up game, and kind of replicating that in the pinball machine. Is that how you see it, Steven?
I would say, yeah, they definitely are trying to play towards the variety of, your fan bases. If you only like a specific turtle, you can have an enjoyable game. If you like them all, you'll enjoy them all. And when you have that cooperative experience, you get to all play together just like those Konami games. But in the same sense, I would say, like when it comes to all those different iterations that they found, I think the time that what has occurred with COVID, like this game, it was kind of found on some of the stream is on 0.92 code. So this is later than you generally see from Stern. It seems like it's a little closer to complete. And I think that from a JJP buyer, like I loved Dialed In. I love my Wonka. I've played games that felt complete when I got them. So it didn't feel like I was waiting for these deep codes to be added. The streams showed that everything they were talking about, for the most part, was there. And yet there was a bug here and there. I think there was one that I can think of where he got to like one of the wizard modes and hadn't actually earned his way there. So that was interesting. To get to see the wizard mode was kind of neat. But as you said, I think you both touched on it. This is a team that has taken something that they understand that it needs to be a hit, it needs to be good, and they might have played it safe by finding rules, new innovations that they haven't presented in a Stern game and added it here. So this isn't breaking the mold. This isn't some brand new experience that no one has ever had before, but they're putting all the pieces together in a way that I really think is going to be appealing for a lot of people. If the theme doesn't catch, I still think the playability of this game is going to last.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I'm at right now. It's like for me to buy a game for my house, it's got to hit on basically all the levels, right? It's got to be a theme I like. It's got to be a good playing game. It's got to hold its my interest over time. Mostly it comes down to the overall rules. Is it something I'm going to want to go back to again and again? And so for Ninja Turtles, I'm like, I watched the show as a kid. I definitely remember playing the arcade game and things like that. It wasn't something that I really got passionate about. Like for me, like Tron is that game in my collection. It's like that's the theme for me, right? But Ninja Turtles could push me over the edge if the gameplay looks good, the rules, if they're there, if it's fun, I could definitely see it adding that to my collection. I don't see anything in there besides possible rules that would prevent me from adding this game to a collection. Tuna says
a couple things from the chat. He said Kevin will buy anything.
Not true. Not new Stern price new. I will buy Bone Busters for like $400
Fighter.
Just so I can stream it for a while and then sell it.
No, we love you for that. That's not a bad thing.
Exactly.
That's not a bad quote.
I got easy in, easy out.
If I stream.
If I can get a game and add it to the Bro Show library, I will definitely do it. Not a new unbox game though.
And then the other thing that Chad is bringing up is talking about keeping the game balanced. If it's going to let you select characters, right? I think there's concern right now about it being balanced, and I guess some people were saying in the chat that from what they've seen so far, it's not that they can't fix that ahead of time, but that's going to be important, right?
Absolutely. And I think that there was a point where I think one of the shots, like if you pick Donatello, I think they were finding like it was like a one shot to multi-ball. It was something really easy to get going and see something. It was that Gary Stern saying, give me a multi-ball. That if you want to get into a multi-ball, I believe it was Donatello. But again, does that mean that he's not scoring as high? Does that mean that he has to? It's harder for him to progress. Hopefully, Dwight figures that out because obviously none of us have to. It's their responsibility to figure out that balance. But for me, when it comes to like in my home, if it's not balanced for the fairness of a tournament play, that's a concern for me down the road when it comes to is it resellable? Is it potentially going to get to a point where it's like a Ghostbusters where it feels broken in some cases. So far from what I've seen, I don't feel that way, but obviously I have never played a minute of it, so I have no idea.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's a tough time right now too because we can't go out and play these games on location like we would normally. It's like I want to test drive the car before I buy it, right? Let me go out and play it in an arcade. And I think about that too with this game. It's like, is that going to impact sales of this game? Because right now so many arcades are closed. They're likely not buying brand new pinball machines to throw in a room to have nobody to play. So the home market's really going to carry this, which is funny because Stern has always made a case like the locations are so important to what Stern does versus the home. And over the years we've seen the home market grow. So this could obviously be a perk for Stern over the years to have this market have shifted over the past 10 years or so.
And I want to just quickly throw at two things regarding the sales. So we're hearing, I'm hearing from the other podcasts that I listen to and things like that. It sounds like it's selling quite well. Like, you're seeing the Australian market has sold out of their LEs immediately. You're seeing that the LEs likely are pretty quick to have sold out or are pretty hard to find already. And when it comes to when we purchased, my wife and I had a conversation about whether we were going to buy this game, and she understands that I'm a nut. I want this. I'll buy it as soon as I possibly can. And we could save, let's say $500 to $1,000 if we wait, 3 to 6 months and get a pro off of somebody. And that was the original plan. But the venue that we love, and I'm going to call it out, Pinball Gallery in Malvern, PA, they are trying to figure out how to survive because they're paying, their monthly fee to rent their space that they cannot open. They can't do anything based on the rules in the state of Pennsylvania. They really have no idea when they're going to be able to open and function at any percentage. So he's got to figure out a way to make money. We've bought our yearly subscription to be an annual pass member there. We bought a gift card to do that so that we can support them. And then we realized this is an opportunity for us to buy what we want, spend a little bit more than we would necessarily have to, and support that venue now. And so we did. And another thing I want to specifically call out is one of your sponsors, Flipping Out Pinball. There you go. Got it. Flipping Out Pinball. He had a promotion on his Facebook page that basically said, tell me a game you would die for, and I'll save you one. And I did that. I told him TMNT, and sure enough, day of release, not beforehand, not when it was, spoilers were coming out. Mm-hmm. He sent me a message, said hey, I can get one for you. Do you want it? And I said, listen, I got to buy from my local venue because I need to support them because they're my local guy. And he just said, he's like, hey, thank you for doing that. And, and best of luck. So that was really stand up. I just wanted to call them out for that too, because he could have also been just really angry because he lost a sale on me because I wasn't loyal to him. But that was just a really nice thing that I saw where everybody gets it. Everyone's struggling. And my wife and I are lucky. We are both working. We are saving money on daycare because our daughter is home with us. We have a little bit of extra. So in the place where we love, where we can spend the money to support, the companies that we love and the communities that we love, we did.
Right. And that's so important right now. If you've got a local arcade that's got a Kickstarter going on, or, they're selling merch or gift certificates or something like that, you got to support your local shop, local arcade. So, and Nick and I are going to talk about this a little later with his operating stuff about, you got to do what you can to keep local pinball around because there's a ripple effect, right? Because if there's not games on location, then you can't have places to hold tournaments. There's not going to be new folks randomly going out and trying it and getting into it. There's just going to be a huge impact to the whole industry as a whole. So if there's not as many locations, they're not going to sell as many pinball machines. There won't be as many machines coming out of here. Maybe not as many companies making them. So do what you can. I know, and on the other end, there's also a lot of folks who don't have jobs. So if you can't do it, I'm sure, a lot of people understand you just can't afford it right now. So, if you can, if you're able to, if you're lucky enough, like we are, to be able to continue working from home and have jobs, and you got a few extra bucks, throw it to your local arcade, buy a shirt. Cabin Fever up in Toronto, they host us for the North American Pinball Battle every other year. Mm-hmm. They sold some shirts, so I grabbed some from them. So do what you can. All right, Steven, anything else? Any final words on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles before we wrap it up?
I would say hey, if the Stern guys listen to this stuff, they should just know that they did a great job presenting this at a time when it must be almost impossible to do it, and the fact that they showed this off, this is well represented on IGN. And I love, as a guy that did marketing, I always love seeing that. And honestly, some spoilers came out 12 to 24 hours beforehand, but that's the excitement of the market. This is going to hit people that, I know guys that spend hundreds of dollars per turtle on their action figures that come out from NECA and from, Sideshow Collectibles. So there is a market there that doesn't care about pinball, that's going to see this art and die for it. So that's exciting. And then finally, just when it comes to you guys, Nick, I'm just so glad that you've taken the time to go out there and put pinball out there. And I wish you and your company the best of luck, because it is very hard. And I can't imagine what a lot of people are going through. I will say that finally, we're lucky enough to both be home, and when we started thinking about when we were going to buy something, my wife and I are on our 10th anniversary of being married. Our daughter is 5. It's our 15 years of being together, and we were supposed to be in Disney May 1st. So, when you start thinking about do you have the money? It's like, don't forget, there's 3 months worth of people that had to cancel their vacations, or 6 months or 9 months. Where's that money going to go? Maybe it goes here. So Kevin, as you said, that home market, I think that's going to be really hungry for anything. And, if Turtles is the first on the line, that might win the day. And then you got Hot Wheels, you got Multimorphic doing something, you got every other company getting ready to, JJP's about to say something. And I can't wait to see what they do, because I think there's a lot of hungry people out there.
Exactly. So when are you getting your game? Any anticipated delivery date?
So I pre-ordered on the first day of you could. He's told me kind of mid to late June. It's a Pro. I've been told that I could probably be comfortable playing it on Father's Day.
Oh.
So that's June 21st. So I would like that to happen. I'm going to say that that's the day that I want it. And
seems like a good date to shoot for. And then, so that's, we're going to talk more about some of the manufacturers coming back, but Illinois is kind of like finally opened up and said, okay, you can start doing non-essential manufacturing. So everybody's starting to open back up and crank games back out, which is a great thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, now I'm excited to see them going back, and obviously, as long as everyone's staying safe and can get to their offices safely. that's if it's delayed because someone had to be careful, fine.
Exactly. All right, well, Stephen Haberman, thanks so much for joining us. Check him out, Habermania on Twitch. Longtime fan of the show and friend of the show for sure. So glad we were able to have you on, and it was what a perfect opportunity, right?
Yeah, exactly. Thank you so much, guys.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you.
Take care. All right, Nick, it's just you and me now. We got more news. We got more news to talk about.
More news.
More news.
All right.
So that was the top story. We got the next thing is Multimorphic going online. So they Multimorphic was the first pinball manufacturer, so they're the ones that make the system, the P3 system, where you can interchange games and put new playfields into the existing cabinet. We've streamed a bunch of their games about a year or so ago, but they were the first ones to bring their gameplay online. So with Cosmic Kart Racing, they released a public open beta, and they had their first game of that over, I think it was this past weekend, where you can play real-time head-to-head pinball against other people in remote locations. It's kind of the perfect way to play some multiplayer pinball right now with everybody hanging out at home. So I asked Jerry if he had anything that he wanted to share about it. He said this is the first with more to come. They have a lot more plans for head-to-head networking. He said Heads Up integration, that's one of their other games, Heads Up, is coming soon. They're going to add private rooms, sponsored tournaments with prizes, improved cheat detection, and more. So one of the cool things about the Multimorphic system, and one of the main concerns about playing remote pinball, is, oh, well, somebody could just take the glass off, and what if the pitch isn't the same or whatever? So because the way the Multimorphic system is, it's got like an infrared grid over the playfield, and if you take the glass off, it can tell if you're manually hitting buttons, and it's got an inclometer in there, so it can tell how steep your game is or how level it is. So it's never going to be exactly the same, but it's probably as close as you're going to get with a pinball, a physical pinball machine playing competitively, right?
Well, listen, ask me how I feel about playing competitive pinball on a machine in my house versus a machine in somebody else's house in regards to playing Mixer Tune on his Metallica.
How'd that go?
All right, here's what I want to say.
Okay.
I have one of the hardest Metallicas ever. And Tuna has to have like a training wheels like bumper, like when you go bowling, you put the bumpers in there. That's my analogy towards it.
So Nick's referencing our bro show finale for the season. When
tell me I'm wrong.
We played. It was me versus Skip on Jurassic Park, and there was Tuna and Nick on Metallica, and Rudy and Martha played Harlem Globetrotters, and Nick. I knew it was going to be a struggle for you, because I've played yours and I know how brutal it is, and I've seen Tuna play his and he just blows it up. So, I
mean, Tuna's, we all know Tuna's really good.
Yeah.
I should go back and watch the video because it's easy to compare it. Just watch the way mine plays and watch his. And after playing mine for an hour and watching him, he beat me on his first game at it, right? And it looked like his game was in slow motion. Just how I don't know. I mean, that's just my point is there's a lot of variation in games. Like, I don't think Tuna went in and purposely makes his games as easy as possible, right? I don't think that's the case. I can take that game and short of like, moving posts and stuff, which I did and I don't do, I don't think I can make it. It'd be hard for me to make it even easier.
Yeah.
I've had the pitch incline more, I've had it less, and it's just something else.
Yeah.
And the one that we played on location, like at I don't know, it was like a Game On. Those games would last forever. That Metallica, you can just have your way with it, right? So I don't know. There's a lot of variation in games, so it's tough when you can play against somebody for fun. I'm going to bring this all back to Multimorphic. You can play against somebody for fun, and the anti-cheating thing is cool, but I would never put money on it or like any kind of ranking because every pinball machine plays different. Even the same model. My Metallica plays different than every single other Metallica out there, and that's just the way it is.
Yeah, agreed. And this is to me, this is just a like, we can do it. Let's do it. It's fun. I don't ever see like IFPA going for this. I mean, although they're doing some weird stuff right now. I don't know have you followed the challenge match thing they're doing now?
No, tell me about it.
So they there's like a challenge ranking where basically it's kind of like what we did for the Bro Show, except you can actually submit that for results, right? But it doesn't even have to be the same game. You can have different games and agree on some sort of way to compare the scores, and they will accept that as results.
But it doesn't affect your IFPA ranking,
no,
right?
it's a whole like different ranking.
Yeah,
system.
it's another thing. Yeah, I mean, no, that's cool that they're trying to find ways to keep people engaged in competitive pinball. I get it. I'm a competitive person. I'm not interested in that, but it's nice that they're working on an outlet for players to stay engaged in that way. So, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. So it's like, to that point, it's like maybe someday, like if Stern and Jersey Jack and the major manufacturers start incorporating this as a thing, maybe there will be a separate ranking for online connected play or something like that. I don't know.
I just want to say, clearly Tuna's not watching the show anymore because I have not seen a peep.
Oh, yeah. He would have jumped right in chat. He's off playing Rocket League with Skip.
Okay.
Oh, here he is. There he is, right on cue. He said, for those listening along at home, he says, I did enjoy crushing Nick with my baby game.
Tell me I'm wrong.
He had to bring it home for Team Kevin, even though in the end, spoiler alert, Team Nick won. So Rudy really pulled it out on Harlem Globetrotters. That was pretty fun.
He did.
Yep.
All
right. Next, I just want to throw this up in there about Multimorphic too. So they, so in addition to the online play, they've also added Cosmic Kart Racing 2.0, which adds a career mode to the game. So if you watched our reveal stream of it, it was exclusively like a racing style game, not a traditional style pinball game. And they've from the ground up kind of recoded it to add a whole new like career mode to it. So that and the online update were provided for free to current owners of the system, which is awesome. And they also, if you remember our interview with Steven Silver, the game director on Heist, they released that. It's only $27.50 for the whole entire new game. So once you have the system, the games are significantly cheaper, and you can't get, with Stern Pros creeping over $6,000. It's hard to argue with $27.50 for a new game to get into your house, even if you have to make that initial investment.
Yeah, agreed.
All right. Up next, Hot Wheels is resuming production, and this is a theme you're going to see over the next few stories, but Illinois lifting their restrictions a little bit by a little bit, allowing non-essential manufacturing. So I asked Michael Grant, their sales and marketing manager. He says they've moved into their new facility in Illinois. They've resumed building Hot Wheels. Parts are in-house and games are coming off the line. We are waiting some final approvals from Mattel, so once we have their blessing, we will then be able to show the game. So looks like things are moving along for Hot Wheels, and we'll be able to see more of that soon. So looking forward to seeing that. Yeah.
You can become a Hot Wheel.
Become a Hot Wheels. Everybody in chat,
right.
Become a Hot Wheels.
We need an emote.
Hot Wheels emote. We could just say become a, and then you can put whatever you want after it, maybe. Also, Spooky Pinball is resuming production on Rick and Morty. So they have a entire new facility that they're finishing up. They're building a loading dock and redoing the parking lot and building all that stuff out. They've been posting stuff on Facebook, so it's good to see the progress there. And also related to that, if you haven't seen the Spooky Pinball documentary, Things That Go Bump in the Night, the spooky pinball story. It's free on Vimeo and Amazon now, and you may see a few folks in there that you recognize who do some amazing call-outs in the game. So if you want to see the bros playing dominoes, you can see it on that if you haven't already seen it. All right. From our friends at Jersey Jack, they've been going through a new round of beta code updates. So a few of us are in the beta code program, and they've moved to, if you don't know the backstory on this, they're integrating, speaking of Wi-Fi and online, they're adding Wi-Fi capabilities right now for updates to the games, but I imagine more is coming down the line. The initial kind of batch of updates were you had to download a big file, and then they were the little incremental upgrades that you could download and apply to those. They've now moved on to where you can download the full updates over Wi-Fi or Ethernet. So we've kind of all been going through and updating our games to test all that out this week. That's been pretty cool. And so that, progress continues on that. And that's something we're involved with. So it was kind of fun to give you a little bit of insight on that. Again, Illinois hit phase 3 of reopening of the state. So that's great news for them. And be on the lookout for a Jersey Jack Pinball podcast, which is announced. Ken Cromwell, their new communications specialist, will be the host of that. It's coming later this month. And they also posted a teaser video promising innovation. I don't know if you've seen that one, Nick.
Are they going to do reviews? Like today we're reviewing Wizard of Oz. 10 out of 10. Best game ever.
I hope so.
What'd you like about it? Everything.
Everything. What's your...
Let's go down the line. Art. Perfect.
Music, perfect. Lighting, amazing. Rules, outstanding. Lastability, keep it a lifetime.
Tune in next week. We're going to review Pirates of the Caribbean.
It's going to be 5 episodes. Soon to be 6.
Right.
But it's going to be insider interviews and, interviews with people in the company and kind of like a behind the scenes. Kind of like, if you've heard of the Stern Pinball podcast, maybe a little bit like that. I don't know. But you don't have to pay for it, which is a good thing. They'll market to you at no extra cost.
You got to pay for Stern's marketing?
Some of it. The podcast you can get, but you have to give them your email address. You have to create an account, but it's free.
All right, whatever. You might as well create a barrier to marketing.
Exactly. It's an
Jump to the
exclusive
soup,
club.
and then we'll market to you if you're lucky.
Yeah.
You don't have to make a video telling them how awesome they are.
That's right. They'll just sell you a product without making a video about how much you want it and how much you deserve it.
Oh, that's cool. They've really moved on. Okay.
They have. That's some of the innovation they're promising, I'm sure. Chicago Gaming, they're shipping Medieval Madness Royal Editions. I know Sergeant Ski, who's hanging in chat, he got his, and he's really happy with it. So folks are finally starting to get those. So it's good to see, as long as things are, like Steven said, as long as things are being done safely and in a cautious manner, it's good to see kind of the pinball industry coming back to life a little bit.
Nobody died to get you your Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle pinball machine.
Yeah, please don't.
Don't die. Don't die. So Steven can play Turtles in his house. I don't know if it's probably not in his basement. He's probably smarter than that.
Yep.
That's all.
There you go. So that's kind of like the industry wrap up of what's happening. We got Ray Day in chat. Ray Day just got hired by Stern Pinball too.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, #1 player in the world. They brought him on to do some software stuff. So he says,
listen, they got their house of talent is pretty ridiculous. Like in terms, they have so much talent under that roof.
Yeah. So congratulations to Ray. He says the Ninja Turtles episode's free now for anyone with an account. Yep. So Nate Shivers, if you remember Coast to Coast Pinball, he's a amazing host on that show, and he hosts the Stern podcast. So good stuff over there. All right, let's move on to, there's been tons of show cancellations and reschedules. The biggest one since our last show is the Pinburg and Replay FX. We kind of all saw the writing on the wall there, but it's been made official now. If you had tickets, you can just carry them over to next year, thankfully, so we don't have to do the beginning of the year panic to buy tickets. But the good news that came along with that is that Papa is returning in the spring, so apparently they have a location lined up, but they're not ready to announce it yet. So it'll be interesting to see where that ends up.
Nice. Some good news.
I would like to go back to Papa. That was a good time. I hope they put it in a place where Nick Lane can get stuck on the railroad tracks again.
That's right. Good times. A lot of good memories from the Papa facility. Some bad ones too. Getting stuck on the railroad tracks.
you know, you got to take the good with the bad.
Yeah, I have bad history with railroad tracks. It's not my first incident with them, but you know.
Maybe on a future episode we can learn more about that one.
Yeah, we can talk about the scars on my face. There you go.
Wow, that's a spoiler right there.
Yeah, stick around. You don't even have to give us your email address for these episodes.
That's right. You just keep it on your podcatcher. It just shows right up.
That's right.
All right. Let's see what else. Texas Pinball Festival got rescheduled until 2021. Pintastic is postponed. Pintastic New England. Southern Fried Gamer Expo is rescheduled until next year. So, just it's looking like if you got something coming up this year, maybe make alternate plans or just plan to stay home and play pinball.
Well, yeah. I mean, Steven's got a good point. Like, there's vacations you might be taking. There's things you might be doing. Now you have some more income, you know, if you're feeling stable in your job, that you could treat yourself to a pinball machine or something like that, right? There are other things you can do.
Yep. I mean, we were supposed to go to Florida right after all this hit, so we didn't end up going there. I haven't been buying gas. I mean, I filled up my tank like twice since March, I think.
Yeah. Here's a PSA: don't forget to drive your car so the battery doesn't run out, and I think at some point gas goes bad too. So you know. Drive it around. I do that every 2 weeks. I just go for like a 20, 30-minute drive.
I make coffee runs, so that keeps my engine up and running.
There you go.
Yep. All right, so that's like I'm sure there's way more than that, but those are the big shows that I caught that were rescheduled or postponed or canceled. Let's give a few Buffalo updates. So we've mentioned this earlier, but we did our Bro season finale, season 6, came to an end amid coronavirus. We were able to pull off a few format changes, and we tried some different things like digital pinball and remote head-to-head battles and things like that. But we wrapped it up with a 6-hour marathon stream of 3 different games head-to-head with a bunch of the Bro team. It was pretty fun. Like even for me sitting at home, it's fun to see like, oh, next hour, here's Tuna, here's Skip, here's Nick, here's Martha. So it's fun to see everybody kind of come together, and the fact that it came down to like the final match, you couldn't ask for more than that.
Yeah, that was a cool finale. And, you know, trying to find the silver lining and everything, we were able to have Tuna and Skip and Rudy on, you know, the Bro Show, you know, virtually, but still participate with us in a way. So that was nice.
Yep. So who knows when we'll be able to do an in-person Bro Show again. It's going to be a while.
Jesus. It'll be like a year.
They need to get working on that vaccine.
Yeah. Pretty much.
The other thing, so the Bro Show ended 2 weeks ago, but this past Thursday we kicked off a brand new thing with our friends at Jersey Jack. Eric Minier, designer of Pirates of the Caribbean, has every single Jersey Jack game in his basement, and he started streaming. And I said, well, if you want to do some head-to-head stuff, let's do it, because between the entire Buffalo team, we all have all the Jersey Jack games too. So he said, let's do it. And we spent like 4 hours screwing around trying to get it to work. We finally figured it out. And we ended up, pro tip, I've read like all sorts of ways to do this on the internet about, you know, bringing in IP cameras and sharing things and using Zoom, and none of that worked. The thing that worked for us was Skype. So if you're poking around trying to get this to work, give Skype a try. So to go stream nerd real quick, if you're using XSplit, you can set the camera in Skype to be your XSplit layout. So basically you lay everything out in XSplit and then just point your Skype to that as your camera. And then you're able to send that over to somebody else who puts it into their layout and then streams it out to the world. So that's how you do it. If you want to do some head-to-head stuff, we're going to be doing that every other week, it's looking like. So no stream this week, but hopefully it's going to be Skip versus Eric next Thursday on either Pirates or I think it's going to be Pirates or Wonka maybe. So it could be either one of those two, but they'll eventually face off on Wonka too, because Skip's the only one that has that on the team. What else?
Yeah, have him do Wonka.
Yeah.
Because you did dialed in, so I'll do Pirates.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Wonka next week. We got to get you set up with all the Skype stuff, so.
Well, I just have to select the camera as XSplit, right? And that's it?
No. You would be running the show.
Do.
He sets it as XSplit and sends it to you.
Ah, fuck.
The other thing we could maybe do is have you both send it to me and then I send it out. So that might be a possibility too.
All right, I'll worry about that in like a month, right?
Right.
Okay. All right. Future Nick. That's a future Nick problem to worry about.
That's right. Don't worry about it right now, but
That's right.
I've already run through the possibilities with making this happen for you, so we'll get there.
I mean, you get a producer credit, and you can put this on your resume at this point for all like the pinball producing work that you do. It's pretty amazing.
I'm gonna put it on my LinkedIn.
Yeah, you might as well.
All right. Any other Buffalo updates? I think that's about it. We've been doing all like online and digital stuff, so there's no tournaments, no nothing like that. Game room updates. Any been doing anything in your game room, Nick, besides hanging out in VR?
Nope. I mean, what is there to? I don't know. I guess like you'd be modding like crazy and working on stuff. Here's something cool. So I use a playfield protector for a Jungle Lord.
Yeah.
So I ordered that. I ordered it on a Thursday from Germany. It came like Monday.
Wow.
I don't even know how that's possible, but it did.
Did it like teleport over or what? Jeez.
I don't know. It's unbelievable. So that's going to go in at some point, but I can't take flippers off of a game, so I'm not going to break it. I've got a bunch of stuff that just when the dust clears, like a year from now, that's when the work begins.
There you go.
In the game room.
Have somebody over to help you fix all your games, right?
So, yeah.
I haven't been doing much besides playing. Thankfully, everything's been working pretty well. I did order that streaming rig. So I'm going to get one of those like mobile rigs. All the parts and pieces haven't showed up yet. So that'll be one of my quarantine projects. I've been mostly just selling a bunch of my old console games and making money for my next pinball machine. And I dug out my old Wii U because Wildcat, one of our viewers, said you can mod it and put a bunch of like retro games and stuff on it. So there's a lot of the stuff I've been selling I've been able to throw on there. And so like if I ever want to play it, I can play it. But it's kind of a fun little project to make that all work. I haven't done anything like that in years. So it's cool to have something to take your mind off of it and just focus in on something, right?
Yeah, nice. And you said this at the beginning, but I do want to highlight the rig that you purchased. We were able to use subscriber the money that we get from subscribers and donations and stuff like that. So thank you guys. Kevin's building a rig which will make his life easier when he's streaming games. So it is expensive. It's like $500, but it just makes what we do easier. So thank you for making that possible for us.
Yeah, and I'll play around with it. Maybe I'll have some streams where I do more than one game in a night if I'm able to just switch it between machines real quick. So should be pretty fun. So appreciate all you do. Yeah, it's an 80-20 rig RLM for sure. Maybe I'll stream building it, but probably not because I like to just like zone out and focus in on things.
And speaking of which, I mean, I got that new laptop. It came in and it was broken.
It's
the
your
USB
second
thing.
one? Or you got
No,
the
I
first
haven't
one?
gotten the second one, but I don't think I told the chat. So I got a new streaming laptop because this one's more than 5 years old. It's time. But the USB broke on it, so now I'm waiting for another one. That's why I haven't done. Well, one of the reasons why I haven't done a follow up to the lunchtime pinball. So I'm gonna do at least one more week of lunchtime pinball. I had like a 5-week residence in it, and I owe people Walking Dead, but I want to wait for that laptop to come in because it's a perfect time to test it.
Yep.
So that's happening too.
Attack wants to know if you're going to have bass on your streams now.
Well, I hope so. That's why I got the MSI one. I should have gotten the Lenovo. The MSI is just a piece of junk that I got. Like, it seems so cheap, Kev. Like, it was just like super plasticky and stuff. But you have that and it's held up. So, and I also want some bass. So we'll see. But the Lenovo's are so much better. I don't know.
Two good reasons to.
If this one breaks, I mean, that might have been an omen to not get the MSI.
Yeah, I mean, I've been running this MSI for 4 years now, and I thought I was going to blow it up trying to do the head-to-head stuff, but it's held up, man. I keep throwing more at it, and I've been doing 1080p streaming, and I've got all these capture cards and stuff now, and it's been holding up. So
Ramross says build a PC, dude. I'm not going to lug a desktop PC. We go on location. It's so much. I have a 5-year-old laptop that can stream just fine. Like there's certain upgrades I want to do, but. Yeah, I built a PC for PC gaming, not so I can drag around a 30-pound rig on top of all the other equipment.
Despite what you may have heard,
you gotta be smart here. You gotta be efficient and smart.
Despite what you may have heard, you do not need a monster PC to stream. You just need
Correct.
You just need
It's overkill.
Need something that can output some 1080p, maybe 720p, depending on how you're feeling.
It doesn't take much.
It's not that resource intensive, but yeah.
Pinball Hammer says Nick's new inbox curse. We'll talk about that. The curse continues.
Yeah.
Dude, we'll talk about that at a future date, and I'll talk about why we're not talking about that now. But I probably get about 20 minutes of talking points. I'm going to put together maybe a PowerPoint presentation to walk through my history of the new inbox curse. And it's called Think Twice Before You Buy New by Nick Lane.
I like it. I can't wait for it.
Grab the popcorn.
Let's get some more Nick Lane status updates. Let's talk a little bit about Location Pinball and how things are going with you. You obviously are part of a company that routes machines here in the Buffalo area. How's life been since COVID-19 hit?
So I got to be careful about talking about stuff because I don't want to talk about inside business stuff, but I can talk about what's kind of public knowledge. So obviously there's no Location Pinball happening right now, so we're not bringing in revenue to our games. For those not familiar and following along, we started the Buffalo Pinball and Arcade business, me and 4 other collectors. And we do this as a side thing, as a hobby, because we love pinball, right? Like if I want to make money, there's way better ways to make money than doing this. This is for like the love of pinball in many ways, and to make some money on the side, and to get pinball out there in the community. And it's gone very well up until this pandemic, unfortunately, when people can't go out and play pinball. And even as things get phased back in, you've got to wonder what that's going to do to pinball. There's going to be at least a segment of the population, I think justifiably so, that doesn't want to go up and start touching things and that, or be close to another pinball machine. So we don't know what's going to happen there, but obviously it was a blow to us. We lost a location. A location, Lake Ward, told us to get all our games out. Now, I mean, they're not making money now anyways, but that just goes to show that we probably won't be putting machines back in there. I don't know why. They didn't necessarily tell us, but it's kind of sad. You kind of see the writing on the wall that I don't know how this is going to shake up, but things had been pretty good, and it was a success story to see pinball all over Buffalo. But this pandemic is just crushing that. One of the things that we got into, and there were other operators doing this a couple months before us, or kind of early on, is renting out machines. So initially, when I heard about people renting out machines, I think like Elizabeth Cromwell reached out to me, and she's like, well, are you guys doing this? And it's like, no, I don't see the point, right? It just seems like a hassle. But there was people locally posting and asking, where can we rent a game? So BPAC, Buffalo Pinball Arcade, we talked about it, and we decided that we would offer that up there. There's a lot of considerations that you have to go over when renting out pinball machines. It's not just like, oh, I'm going to do it. I mean, first of all, we need a new contract that people have to sign. You're going into homes, so not everybody in the business is comfortable going out there in public and going into homes. You have to have somebody who's willing to do that, and we do. And he's comfortable doing that, and he's comfortable with us not doing that, right? You put a game in a home. What happens if it breaks? What happens if it gets a stuck ball, right? Like, and do you give the customers the keys? Do you rent out to people that you don't know, or keep it in the community? So there's a lot of considerations, and we price it at like $449 a month, and these are for like new Stern games, like Jurassic Park. Like these are good titles. Like $449 for the first month, and like $350 or $349 for following months, or something like that. And I've seen other prices where we were aware of it. One place in Florida had rented out like almost all their games at similar prices to that. But I saw some criticism of like, oh, these Buffalo Pinball guys, they're charging all this money for a game. They're greedy, or they're taking advantage of the pandemic. It's like, dude, first of all, that's think for like 5 seconds. Just think for 5 seconds. People have asked us to rent it, but it's what's worth our time, right? It's moving a 300-pound pinball machine into somebody's house and moving it out, not damaging anything in their house. Like, there's just a lot of stress when we're 5 guys that this is not our full-time job. So we sort of took the stance like, look, if somebody really wants to rent these, we'll make it available. But this is kind of like, this is when it becomes worth our time, right? And plus, if you put a pinball machine in somebody's house, and they pay $449 for a month, they could play the game 1,000 times, right? I mean, they could just play it constantly, and then you're paying 50 cents for pinball, right? Or the game could break like every other day, and somebody's got to go out and repair it, which is so that's why we did it that way. If people wonder about that, there's still games available. We had a game get rented out. But it's a tough time, and I'm grateful, I guess, that that's not my full-time gig. I am empathetic to operators or people who are doing this full-time, and they rely on the revenue from coin drops and their machines being out in public places. And I get that. It's not a option for them to decide if they want to rent games out or not, that they have to, and they have to find a price point where it works, and they have to go into people's homes. So I get it. We're just lucky that we don't have to do that. Yeah.
Well, and I'm sure you guys did your competitive analysis, right? You did your market audit, and you saw, what other folks were charging and stuff like that. I had heard like TNT Amusements had been renting out games, and I looked at their website. They charged $300 for a day for like a special event to take it out to somebody's location. So it's like, I don't think you guys are out of line with your pricing, and especially considering, all the things you laid out.
Yeah. I mean, like, imagine before the pandemic, if you want to get into a side business of saying, we're going to rent out pinball machines for events. It wouldn't be crazy to, like you said, rent out a pinball machine to like a wedding or a party for $300 for a night. Like, no one would bat an eye at that. So, $400, $500 for a month is not crazy. It's just that we don't need to. We're not dying to rent these out. We kind of don't care. We're like, yeah, if somebody wants to pay that, that's what our time is worth. That's what our energy is worth, right? That's what it becomes worth, right? Like, there's certain jobs you don't go after because you're like, this is what my time's worth, and I'm not going to do it, right? So when I hear about somebody renting out for $200 in some other place, great, good for them. That's what they value their time at. Or maybe they have to. Maybe they're starving, right, if they don't get their machines out, because that's their full-time job, and I can appreciate that. And it's, my heart goes out for them. For us, though, we kind of, we weren't going to do it, and people asked for it, so it's like, okay, let's think about it. This is what's worth our time. If you want it for that price, you can have it.
Right.
That's just the deal.
Yep.
I don't care if we rent out none of them. I don't care if we rent out all of them, because we found a price that we're comfortable with.
Yeah, it makes sense to me, and it's basic business, right? It's got to be worth your time to go out and do it. Otherwise, why bother?
Yeah. Yep.
Cool. Well, that's our first half of the show, or first 2/3 and 3/4 of the show. Let's get into our review of Mustang, and before we do that, we're gonna show you a little video.
Let's go!
I am okay. Looks like this war, the least I've gotten waiting for. Are you ready for your eye exam?
All right, let's get to the Mustang pictures here. There we go. It's Mustang from Stern Pinball. They released this in 2014, designed by that real not good guy, John Trudeau. Art by Greg Ferris, John Yowsey. Software by Jack Benson. There's 4 people credited for software on this guy. Jack Benson, Lonnie Ropp, Tenyo Kleiss, and Weiss and Cheng. Sound by David Thiel and Vince Ponarelli. You can grab one of these, according to Pinside, for roughly $4,000 for a Pro, or $6,200 for a Premium and LE. So, Nick Lane, what do you think about the art on Mustang?
Gets the job done.
This is a classic. Gets the job done.
All right, it's not terrible.
Yeah.
I don't complain about it, and I don't praise it.
Yeah, it's kind of like, it's not like the worst I've seen, but it's just kind of like there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's lots of cars, some grid-esque patterns, it's very red blue. Red blue is kind of like the color palette here. It's a little orangey, but it looks okay. It looks all right. Yeah, I wouldn't kick it out of the house just for the art. You know what I mean?
Right. No Sopranos. I mean, I'm looking at it now, and
That's an ugly game.
That's a very ugly game.
You don't keep that game for the art, that's for sure.
World Poker Tour and Sopranos are
God.
Yeah.
No thanks. Yeah. All right. So that's the art. That's what more do you need to say about the art on Mustang? The cabinet art's kind of cool. I think the cabinet art is cooler than the playfield, but it's I forget the artist, but it's a famous painter who paints Mustangs, and it's his artwork on the sides and on the translate. So those are kind of cool looking.
Yeah, and it's let's be honest. I mean, this is a game that I think is more capitalizing on Mustang owners and people who collect Mustang cars. Like that's who I think they're really marketing to with this game when it came out.
Yeah, and you see that I follow the thread on Pinside, so I own one of these right now, and I own a Pro, and that's going to be the model that we focus on mostly. Have you ever played the Premium or LE? I have not.
I might have. I can't remember. I think maybe Todd McCulloch had one when I was at his house.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've only ever played the Premium on the digital platforms, but that never quite translates for me as far as like the same as like playing the real machine. So this is going to focus on the Pro, which is the one I own right now. So let's talk about. Do we have to talk about the sound? I love you, David Thiel, but I don't know about the sound on this game.
He did the sound on Mustang.
David Thiel and Vince Pontarelli are credited with the sound on this game.
This is really unremarkable.
Yeah.
I mean, the announcer. I like the announcer. He's good.
Yeah.
The voice acting. I like how they got the French guy, right? Like that. Like the voice acting's pretty good in it.
Except for that cruising mode. Dude, that guy.
Yeah.
Joe Chervino loves that guy.
Yeah, I mean, it's a soundtrack of like music that. How many songs are in the game? The stock.
Depends
Song
on
package.
which model you get. So it's either the Premium and Ali have more songs. So
Okay.
it's a plus to get into those. But I think there's like 6 main songs. Plus, there's bits and pieces here and there of other songs.
Yeah, that seems light too. You know what I mean? Like a pinball machine with like 6 songs in it. Like imagine if they had like 12 or 20. I know people are like, oh my God, you can't license that. But at the same time, yeah, 6 songs is just weak. Especially when it's just kind of a crapshoot, right? It's not themed after a band where you know, I was like, oh, I like Metallica, so I'm gonna like all these songs, pretty much, right?
Yep.
It's just, I don't know. So that's why you have Pinball Mix, though. Pinball Mix can fix it.
If there's ever a game that Pinball Mix is perfect for, it's this one, because it's like
100%.
It's just, and I was talking about, what songs I wanted to pick. He's like, just pick songs that you'd like to drive fast to. I was like, all right, this makes sense, and it fits to that. So it's just like, all your favorite songs, they can go in there. It doesn't matter what they are. They don't have to try to mesh with the theme. It's just like stuff you'd put on the radio while you're driving. So really appreciate that for it. But otherwise, it's like the music, one song from each era of the game. So there's one, it goes like from the 50s to the 90s or 60s to the 90s, something like that, or 2000s. And there's one song from each decade. So they're pretty hit and miss. If you like,
Kevin likes the fake Beach Boys.
If you like Jan and
right?
Dean, talking about how
Jan and
it's a 2-to-1 ratio of ladies to men at the beach, this game might be for you.
That's what the song is about.
It's 2 girls for every boy. Is that the song in the game? I can't remember. It's Jan and Dean. They have a song in there, but they have a song about that.
That's more than I want to know. Let's move on.
Skip Nanny loves that song. All right, moving on to the toys. There aren't any. Moving on. Well, actually, there is a toy. There's a literal toy, a giant toy car right in the middle of the pinball machine. And if you have the Premium LE, then it spins around. That's it. That's all you get.
Well, all right. So on the Pro, there's a non-interactive toy. It's not even. It's hard to call it a toy. Like, right? Like, I mean, it's stretching. When I say toy in pinball, everybody in their mind thinks of it as something that you interact with.
Mm-hmm.
This you can't interact with. It's a model car that they put in the game. Like for decoration, you can't interact with it. Even on the Premium and LE, there's still no toy because that just is a lazy Susan that spins around, but you don't interact with it.
Right.
So like they totally phone this game in. This is a game to sell. Like they're like, we're gonna make Mustang because it's like some anniversary, right? And it's gonna go. Maybe we'll put it in Mustang dealerships, and there's these Mustang people that you slap Mustang on it, and they're just gonna buy it, right? It's like Supreme for like 50 and 60-year-olds. They're just gonna buy it. That's it. That's what this game is.
It's going to go vroom vroom, and we're going to put some toy cars in there, and it'll be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only other thing that the Premium LE has, I think, is it's got those like stand-up, like it's got this Scolari Brothers kind of targets in the playfield. which I didn't realize until I played the digital version. I was like, where the hell did those come from? But yeah, there you go. No toys. Not looking good in the toys department there, Mustang.
Just gets a 0 for toys. Like, doesn't have any.
This is 0. Sorry. Display and lighting. So let's talk about the display first. I actually think the display, the DMD, is actually pretty good on this game. It's got some modes that are pretty barren and kind of plain, but the overall, it's got pretty good dots, and they're pretty funny. And I really like what they did with the dot animations on there. And if you watch one of the bro shows that we did, we were able to give you an early look at the color DMD, which really kind of takes it to the next level, right?
Yeah. You're more of a dot display guy than I am. You're more familiar with the game. It's sort of, I don't know. I mean, it's fine. I like how they do have like Steve Ritchie in it, right? Like the homage to the Getaway in one of the modes. That's cool. I can appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. And the wizard modes have some cool animations in there and stuff. The Skip Natty knows the ratio in Surf City. See, it's 2-1. I'm sorry, I had to go back there. Lighting's it's like early LED era Stern, so it's like there's not RGB LEDs in it, but it's got some nice looking LED, light shows and things like that. The flashes are pretty cool under the big inserts in the playfield and things like that. I would say this gets the job done in the lighting department.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You're seeing a theme happening here.
Yeah, no, I mean it's just kind of an unremarkable game, right? But like not bad, like not slamming it. Like there's some games you're like, what the hell are they thinking, right? Like, and you can spend 10 minutes just talking about how bad or questionable the decision is. It's like you're not going to find there's just like no highs and no lows.
Mm-hmm.
It's just kind of there, this game.
With that, let's get to the gameplay. So the gameplay is pretty good. It's got an interesting playfield layout. Mm-hmm. So I think the coolest thing on this game is the left ramp, which can feed 3 different ways. So it's got like 2 lift up flaps on one ramp. So if it's the bottom one's up, it can be a loop. If the bottom one's down but the top one's up, it comes to the left flipper. If they're both down, then it goes all the way around to the right and it goes into a whirlpool. Kind of think Creature from the Black Lagoon. I have a photo of that here somewhere.
Yeah.
Damn, there it is.
No, I think this is the best part of the game, right? The best part of the game is that it's a original layout. It feels original. It feels unique enough, right? There's enough unique things about it. It's a flat game to look at it, and yet the way that the shots turn around in that one shot is interesting and cool. Like they figured out a way to make a flat game of not really big ramps to speak of, and still do something cool. Creature from the Black Lagoon toilet bowl is cool, especially how it's incorporated into the rules. And the drop target kind of push your luck mechanic right out in front of you, easy to hit, but very dangerous, is cool as well. Like I like that. I like this game because it checks the box of being its own layout, something that I can't say, oh, this is just like that game. Oh, I feel like I'm just playing that game. It's not at all. And that's what makes it interesting to me, and definitely worth playing.
Yeah, it's got a cool captive ball like burnout thing on the right that integrates, I think, well with the theme. It's like you're doing a 360 donut kind of thing. Cool spinner shots. It's got that scoop that you can drop catch out of. That's nice there on the right. And yeah, the gears. And when you get to the later levels of the gears, it's got the stand up targets behind the gears that you have to integrate. So yeah, I think this is one of the parts that really makes Mustang stand out, is the interesting layout. It's fun to shoot. Mm-hmm. And like you said, it's not like something else that you've already played a million times. Rules.
And it makes it good. This comes into rules. Yeah, it bleeds into it. I think it's got the push your luck mechanic of like, the way you build up to multi-balls, knocking down the drop targets, and that puts you to the next gear. And if you get to 6th gear and then cash out multi-ball, it's great. Like after you get to gear 3, because you've cleared the drop targets 3 times, then you can start multi-ball. But you can also cancel. You can abort, just kind of like what you've seen in Aerosmith, right? So that's kind of a cool risk-reward especially for like competitive tournament play. Like I like that kind of stuff a lot. I like the fact that there's some decision making involved in it.
Yeah, and I like so if you look at the insert rows, so like the top 3 cars, the 1965, 1969, and 2000 are like the harder modes to complete. They're longer, they're more in depth, and the lower row are the easier modes to complete, and the one in the middle bottom is your gear shift multi-ball, where that's your kind of gimme go-to easy to get multi-ball. But if you take it right away, it's not that valuable, but if you wait, you can get more out of it. So I like that there's some I think James said this when I bought it from him. He's like, this game, the rules on this game are way better than they deserve to be. And there's actually a lot of the modes feel very different. They're interesting. There's a lot of unique elements to them. Even like the super skill shot is cool. You plunge it, if you hold the left flipper and plunge it around, you'll see, if you can see think of like Pinbot or something like that, where the lights rotate back and forth. And if you want to, like, when the white lights are lit on the A, if you hit that, then that'll shift you to gear 3 right away. So it's like, there's a lot of like extra stuff in here that if you're not really paying attention, you won't notice. But for the home buyer, home player, the more forward-thinking player, the more experienced player, there's more to offer here. Much like just the basis of the game. So if you just play all the modes, there's a mini wizard mode to get to. But if you complete all the modes, there's another one to get to. There's like upgrade scoring you can get to. So there's all these kind of like little side things you can do aside from just playing the main modes, which is cool. So that's one of between the layout and the rules, that's where this game shines. That's the top aspects of this game. Where it doesn't shine so much is lastability, because at least for me, I've kind of seen all there is to see already on this game, and I'm pretty much ready to move it on. I got this in March, and it's like I've been to the wizard mode a couple times already, and I've seen the things. The pinball mix was cool. It kind of brought it some new life, and I was like, oh, this is awesome. The best part of like the pinball mix is it like gives you a whole another way to discover the game. It's like, oh, here's that song that I sent them, and that's what activates this. So it keeps it fresh and new, but that only lasts for so long, even on a game like this, where it's like, I don't love the theme. The layout and the rules are cool enough, but if it's coming down to like moving out Pirates or moving out Mustang, see you, buddy, when something new comes along that I want to try.
Yeah, isn't it like at our skill level, isn't it too easy to get through the game? Isn't that the problem?
I think so. I mean, I don't feel like I have it set up particularly easy. I mean, you played it. It wasn't.
It seemed
like,
fair.
Yeah.
It seemed fair. Neither like brutal. Neither. It just seemed just right. Right. Like.
Right. So it's like I could make it harder, but it's on. For example, Tron. I've gotten into the wizard mode many times on Tron, but I love that game. I love the theme. I love the experience of playing it. So I'm going to keep it in the house. Mustang is just like, it was fun to learn. It's fun to shoot. Once I figured it all out, I'm kind of done with it. So when JJP6 comes along or something else in the meantime that I really want, that's going to go. That and probably Space Shuttle are next on the chopping block for me. So that's
okay.
That's where it is. So any other?
How close are you to buying another game, by the way? Like, is it just like you sell one, you get one? Is that like where you're at right now?
Pretty much. I could I have fit one more game in here, but I really don't like it with one more game. It just gets too cramped. So
okay,
I'm at the sell one get one kind of spot right now.
I mean, with the everything that's going on with pandemic and stuff, like, you know, let's be honest, I don't think things are going to be back to normal for like a year, right? Because you're going to need a vaccine to get really, really back to normal. I mean, I'm probably not going to buy a game for at least a year, which is fine. I mean, I don't need to be buying a game every year, but that's kind of where I'm at. So
you wouldn't even buy a new in-box game?
No, because somebody has to come over and help me move it and set it up and stuff. True. Yeah. I mean, we're being really conservative with the scenario, but it's just, and there's no urgency with buying it. I mean, a year from now, the games that are coming out that we might be interested in, whether it's like Guns N' Roses or Turtles or something like that, they're still going to be available a year from now.
Unless
right?
it's a Pirates kind of situation where it's not.
Right. Could be.
Yeah.
Could be. Pirates was being sold for a year and a half, though.
Yeah, that's true.
You could buy Pirates for a year and a half, even though it wasn't shipping then. It was still available for a year and a half.
Yeah. So yeah, like in my situation, I could put a game in my driveway, have somebody come and pick it up, or they could drop their game in the driveway, do our deal.
Yeah.
And never even like interact with each other. So I don't have to have anybody help me bring games in
Yeah.
on the first floor. So I could move games in and out with contactless delivery. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I mean, you're doing it right. I mean, there's not a better way to do it than how you're doing it. So I think my story might be a little different if I had that scenario.
And it's the ultimate excuse when you drop the game off not to help load it into the next guy's basement, next player's basement, right?
Right.
Like, sorry.
Well, and then something has to leave too. Like at this point, I mean, I guess I would get rid of a classic. I guess those are the first to go because classics are fun, but I don't come down really and play classics because they don't hold my attention, right?
Right. And that's same with me with Space Shuttle. It's super fun. I love the game. It's got nostalgia for me, but I never play it by myself. It's a fun competition game, and I'll turn it on once in a while to flip a couple games. But if I'm coming out to play, it's not going to be that game most of the time.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. So let's give a score to our game here. Let's go back to our score key. If you don't know it or you forgot it, from 0 to 2, you should burn it. 3 to 5 is an expensive nightlight. 6 to 8 is a solid game. 9 to 10, get your wallets out. Do you want to go first or should I?
I'll go first.
Okay.
Well, what happens? What order goes first? Well, how do we mess this up? You always like give it one. Why don't you go first? I know
You want
I'm
me to
gonna
go
give
first?
it.
All right.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about this, and I was like, I think this game is like a 6. It's not like expensive nightlight territory. There's a lot to do there. It's fun. It's interesting, but it's like it's a low solid game. It's gonna be fun. This is a classic fun for a while kind of game. I would play it, have it in your house. I would always be happy to play this on location, but it doesn't have the lastability in your home, especially for not for me. If you're a Mustang collector, maybe, but for the average pinball player, I think that's where this game is gonna fall.
Okay. Well, guess what? We're on the same page because it gets a 6. So it just hits the mark of being in the category of a solid game. Mm-hmm. Like if somebody came up to me and like, what do you think of Mustang? I'd be like, I mean, it's a solid game, right? Like that's how I would say it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like kind of shrug your shoulders. Like it's a solid game. It's just nothing special, right? There's just nothing remarkable about it. There's good things about it. There's things I like and I highlight about it, but unless you're, I don't know. It's like you said, you have it for a while, might be able to get a good price for it. You'll have fun for a while, and if you're a Mustang fan, then there's another plus in the column. But it's just kind of it's kind of nothing special.
Mm-hmm.
It will surprise some people because it was easily forgotten about and was nothing special when it came out. But as you've seen, you're not gonna keep it for too long.
Yeah, and this was a game when I got it. I got a few messages about it, like, "Oh, what do you think of this game? What would you rate it?" Because I'm thinking about getting one. So that was the other reason I wanted to kind of talk about it more. Because you're right, it came out and people were like, "Ugh, Mustang, blah," and it's a game that you would easily pass over. Maybe didn't give it a second thought, and I think when it came out, the rules were not that great, but it was one of those games that kind of went through a few revisions of rules and eventually got to a pretty fun place.
Yeah. Yep, well said.
All right. With that'll bring our show to an end for tonight. Don't forget to follow us on all the social media. You see it at the bottom of the screen here if you're watching live. We're on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We got a group facebook.com/group/Buffalo Pinball. We're on YouTube. If you miss it live, you can watch us there in our archives. Actually, I've been working on the finale bro show. I've edited it together, but it's giving me a headache exporting it. But it's coming to YouTube soon. But the JJP battle is up there in the meantime. You can email us, talkpinball@gmail.com, if you want to give some feedback. Just ask questions for the next episode, things like that. You can hit us up there. You can follow us on Twitch if you don't already. You can also share your Twitch Prime with us. If you have Amazon Prime, you get a free Twitch Prime subscription. You can share that with us every month, or you can just do a straight up subscription. Then you can set it and forget it. Like that's what Nick would say if he was on an infomercial.
That's right.
Or if you want to just drop us some cash on PayPal, you can do that too. BuffaloPinball@gmail.com.
Very grateful last show, we've gotten some really good donations. The Bro finale was really good. There's a lot of generosity. So during this bad time, I'm thrilled that people want to spend it with us, and I'm thrilled that people have been generous. Can't say this enough, but it keeps us going. We look at how many people are watching. We look at how many people subscribe, and that pushes us to do better and get better.
Yep.
So thank you guys.
Yeah, we're glad you're enjoying it. And if you want another way to support the show, you can drop us a review on your podcast platform of choice. It makes it easier for other folks to discover us if they see a podcast with a bunch of good ratings. They're like, maybe I'll give this a shot. So you can also, if you've got a friend that's into pinball, let them know. Say, I enjoy this show. Think you might like it too. So there you go. There's a bunch of ways you can support us. Thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Next stream will be Wednesday with Skip Natty. Rudy's taking the week off. So tune in Wednesday, and you can hang on. Kyle says you wouldn't like my review. There you go. It's lit. Thanks for the bits. Appreciate it. Have a good night. Stay safe out there, and play a little pinball if you can.
See ya.